Hi, my name is Mike Rask,
And I'm Jonathan Hune.
and today we will be elaborating on our pitch of Rockwell Automation.
Yeah, so just to give a high-level view of this firm, their sole focus is on industrial automation. So their slogan, the connected enterprise, really that just boils down to they're selling products and services to B2B customers to help them improve efficiency at their facilities. So their technology is applicable to a wide range of uses, but you'll see a lot of their customers are in the manufacturing and the material sectors.
Rockwell enjoys an extremely rich history through the Allen Bradley brand, which traces its roots all the way back to 1901 when Lynn Bradley invented the compression rheostat to control the speed of electric motors. The company was officially incorporated in 1903 by Lynn Bradley and Dr. Stanton Allen, with Harry Bradley joining shortly after. Rockwell's PowerFlex AC drives serve as a modern-day example of what started it all for Allen Bradley. AC drives are a power supply and conditioning device for AC motors. AC motors are used in the conversion of electrical energy into mechanical energy and have a wide array of applications within manufacturing. In this way, AC drives serve to adjust or limit the applied voltage and current used by AC motors to provide greater efficiency and energy savings during operation.
So just elaborate on how they make their money. We'll start with their biggest revenue segment, which is intelligent devices. And a really innovative example here would be their independent cart technology products. Basically, it's just the modern day conveyor belt. So you're replacing mechanical pieces like gears and chains with electromagnetic propulsion. The whole idea is it's smoother, it uses less energy, and it's programmable and adaptable to precisely what the customer needs. We should also point out that while this is a very exciting example of this segment, most of this segment is a lot more pedestrian kinds of products. So think motors, switches, sensors, drives, that sort of thing. So the real nuts and bolts of industrial automation.
Within their lifecycle services segment, we find the Sensia joint venture, which is the first fully integrated digital oil field automation solutions provider, making the production, transportation, and processing of oil and gas simpler, safer, and more secure. Within their software and control segment, we find their most prolific offering, which is their PLC, or Programmable Logic Controller. A PLC is an industrial computer control system that continuously monitors the state of input devices and makes decisions based upon a custom program to control the state of output devices. The PLC was initially developed by Rockwell in 1970, and though PLC is an industry-wide term now, it is still a registered trademark of the Allen Bradley brand. Primary research was crucial in our understanding of Rockwell. When we spoke with Ryan Schaffernacher, a former employee, he was able to provide an extremely valuable perspective on their position within North America. He described Rockwell, and more specifically Allen Bradley, as being the Xerox or the Kleenex of PLCs. He further described them as being the most universal and easiest to work with brand within the industry. He spoke to Rockwell's pricing power, describing them as never being the low-cost solution. And we think this really illustrates their commanding position within North America. He also discussed their ability to use their own products to produce their own products, and how the proximity of these facilities to corporate offices makes for very compelling customer tours.
Yeah, another key contributor to our primary research was Jerry Rundle at Harpak Olma. Harpak is an OEM. They manufacture the machinery that packages food and medical devices for large companies in North America. So, think the machinery that packs raw chicken into those bubble trays that you see at the grocery store. And so this company is in the process of completely overhauling their control systems on the Rockwell platform. And through our conversation with Jerry, we really got to peer into their brand and their switching cost moats for Rockwell. Specifically on brand, Jerry talked about, again, how they're the industry standard in North America, and they've built up this reputation over decades of quality. And then relating to switching costs, we pressed him, is there any scenario you can envision where Harpak would switch to a different vendor of automation equipment? And he said, no, he could not think of a scenario. Rockwell provides so much value to Harpak that they're even willing to give up some of their equipment and servicing and the replacement parts revenues to Rockwell. So we think that really shows just how valuable the brand and the switching costs are to Rockwell.
The final person we interviewed was Justin Griffith, a regional sales director who has spent almost 18 years with the company. He spoke first to how Rockwell's development and integration of software with their smart devices further enhances the value that customers receive. This also additionally serves to provide Rockwell with high margin recurring revenue through the software. When we asked him how customers receive value through purchasing software and intelligent devices together, he drew parallels between Rockwell's industry standard connectivity to that of Apple's connectivity with consumers through the ability to easily plug and play different devices together while collecting valuable operational data. He described this as enhancing the customer's time to value, allowing them to be able to quickly install and begin receiving value from Rockwell's offerings without years of engineering and millions of dollars. We asked him directly if high switching costs allow for Rockwell to retain customers, and he pointed primarily to the personnel benefits of the Allen Bradley standard and how the further integrated companies become with Rockwell's offerings, the more difficult it is for them to switch to an alternative. The final question we asked Mr. Griffith was revolving around the Allen Bradley brand and what sort of impact it has or advantage it provides for Rockwell. He described it as he confirmed, our suspicions and our research around the reputation of excellence that the brand carries, its rich history, and its emotional connection with their customers.
We'd also like to talk about some management issues, starting with debt utilization. So yeah, headline on Rockwell's debt, they do have several long-term issuances as well as some lease obligations for their factories. We'd also like to draw special attention to this revolving credit facility that they have access to. A little context on $1.25 billion. That's equal to 8 times their yearly CapEx and 12 times the highest interest they've ever paid. So we think that in the context of Rockwell's business, it's a very robust financial resource that they honestly didn't even have to draw on during the entire COVID-19 pandemic. So I think that really speaks to the safety of Rockwell's cash flow situation. And if you look at this EBITDA coverage requirement of 3x, their EBIT coverage even is never been below 10 in our entire analysis period. So we think that they're not at risk of losing that resource anytime soon. Again, if you look at their debt to equity on a book value basis, they might look over levered, but we think that's an accounting artifact. If you look at them by market values, they're actually very lightly levered. Their cost of debt is very low. So we don't think that the debt really poses any sort of outsized risk to Rockwell at all. If you want to talk about leverage, as opposed to financial leverage, you might make the argument that instead they're socially or network leveraged through their agreement with PTC.
Yeah, and we see PTC and Rockwell as being joined at the hip for a couple of reasons. So first, we believe PTC chose Rockwell because they are dominant within North America and within the industry. And second, due to Rockwell's investment in PTC's stock of $1 billion, they now control approximately 9% of their market cap. And so if PTC were to end their relationship and their partnership and seek out another, Rockwell would likely sell their shares, and that would greatly harm PTC.
Yeah, and the last management issue we want to talk about is the Emerson bid. Happened a few years ago. Blake Moret was just recently the CEO of the company. Basically, rival Emerson offered to acquire the company for a hefty premium, and they turned the offer down. They didn't even open negotiations. So you could look at this as being an issue for the company. Did they pass up a really accretive opportunity for shareholders? Is Moret guilty of empire hoarding? And we really think not. If he was, he wouldn't be fighting tooth and nail to stay at Rockwell. They're only numbered 250 in the S&P 500. His poison pill would grant him 2 years to find a new CEO position of equal or greater value at a different company. So we think the reason that he's chosen to stay with the company this long, it's been his entire career since college, is because he loves the company and he feels very strongly about their future prospects. And we think that his track record of delivering total returns in excess of the market really exhibits that he's a good manager for shareholders. And just closing, we have some relative valuation to supplement our DCF valuation. And, unfortunately, even though we love this company, you just can't make the argument on any perspective that they're undervalued right now.
Yeah, and though Rockwell's current price is well above our DCF valuation, we believe they are a very attractive investment for the long term, on the basis of their perceived moats of being the industry standard in North America, their rich history, their strong and emotional connections with their customers, and their superior financial returns in the form of high margins and return on capital. We would recommend that investors exercise price discipline and take advantage of future market opportunities to buy and hold Rockwell for the long term. Thank you.